The All-American Girls Professional Baseball League, or the AAG-PBL for short, was a professional women's baseball league founded during World War II in an effort to keep the sport of baseball alive while many of the male players were serving in the military. The league was faced with many challenges as it defied societal norms and rocked the foundation of gender roles in America. Through overcoming these barriers, the AAG-PBL drastically changed the playing field regarding rights and responsibilities for women. Their impact extended far beyond the ballpark. Despite gaining suffrage in 1920, women's lives remained strongly dictated by traditional gender norms. Their rights were limited while their responsibilities were strictly defined. Women were strongly discouraged from pursuing professional careers, and those who did faced educational and workforce barriers, preventing advancement beyond entry-level positions, roles deemed suitable for women. Because women rarely earned a living wage and required a spouse's signature on certain financial decisions, women were largely dependent on their husbands. The industrial era reinforced this divide. Men were expected to work while women were confined to domestic roles as homemakers and caretakers. Women who engaged in vigorous sports were labeled masculine, which threatened their femininity, modesty, and marriage prospects. Society deemed competitive athletics too strenuous for women's delicate bodies, restricting them to recreational activities like horseback riding and swimming.
The general feeling about women playing in sports was that you were not very feminine. You were a tomboy and liked boys' things. That separated you from other girls in most cases.
During World War II, as men were called to fight, deficiencies in the workplace had to be filled by women. Baseball was no exception. Scouts were sent across the United States and Canada to find women interested in playing baseball. However, players were not selected based on capability alone. Women of color were denied the opportunity to participate. Similarly, women deemed to be too masculine in figure were turned away as the league aimed to present idolized All-American girls. The All-American Girls Professional Baseball League hosted its first official game on May 30th of 1943. After its initiation in 1943, the AAG-PBL struggled to secure adequate support and generate significant revenue amid a resistant cultural landscape. These girls were defying societal expectations, facing disapproval even from close family members. Furthermore, the league was faced with limited public interest due to skepticism about women's abilities in a physically demanding sport. To gain legitimacy and increase attendance, established male managers were assigned to each team. However, recruiting them was difficult, as many MLB executives feared women's participation would undermine the sport's credibility. In order to counteract the stereotype that baseball was exclusive to masculinity, players were to appear as feminine as possible.
Set an example, set an example. You're out here, introducing baseball to people and they've never seen women play. And it's very important how we, our image to them. Everything was important to look feminine, and still be ball players.
Players had to balance their athletic rights with the responsibility placed upon them by society to maintain traditional ideals of femininity. Players were required to attend charm school and follow unrealistic standards of propriety, along with being required to wear skirts, dresses, and lipstick whenever in public.
There was one young lady from Wisconsin who was super good. She would have made a team any place, but she broke the rules. She went out on the fire escape and had a cigarette. The next day she was on the bus home.
The league's initiation provoked an examination of long-standing gender roles as women stepped up to the previously male-dominated plate. Players felt they had the responsibility to break gender barriers and stand up for all women.
When we first started playing, people came out to laugh, oh my God, girl baseball players. But we showed them that we could play just as well as men.
These women played every bit as good as those Northern League players. I was just amazed at how great they were.
I'm not quite sure why it was so astounding. Maybe it is because no one really thought women could play baseball. Maybe it is because of the time in history that we played. It was not that our talents were so unique but that we had developed those skills in a world that forced us to be different.
The AAG PBL provided players with a sense of empowerment and autonomy as they fought for their right to be taken seriously as athletes, while providing a space away from the trying times of war.
It gave the local communities a place to go to have a good time and forget about the hard times. There was a rationing of food. Many people had to work in factories to make ends meet and replace the men and their families who were off at war. Many worked in defense plants making instruments of war just to be a part of the fight for freedom for those who were being suppressed. People needed local heroes like they do today, and we provided them with that.
After the war ended in 1945, women were pressured to return to traditional domestic roles, but the league continued in defiance of these pressures. Women's baseball, despite the initial skepticism, had gained significant popularity. By 1948, they had reached a seasonal attendance of nearly 1 million fans. As the league traveled nationwide, media coverage and propaganda helped normalize women in sports. Furthermore, players earned well above average women's wages, providing unprecedented financial independence. This new idea of autonomy was empowering. According to former player surveys, 35% earned college degrees, while over half said they did not feel the societal pressure to marry.
I believe it also opened the door for them. It allowed the young ladies to follow their dreams, whatever their dream was.
The league was disbanded after the 1954 season. However, the fight for equality did not end there. In 1956, AAG PBL players were selected to be featured in a women's all-star team, whose purpose was to showcase the skills of women athletes to a broader audience, challenge continuing stereotypes, and keep the spirit of women's baseball alive. Women wanted equal opportunity in education and in the workforce, and women athletes advocated for their own league and sports.
We have opened the world to the reality that women can play any sport with equality of competition. We only advocate women playing against women, not a competition of women against men. That is not equality.
The league laid the foundation for several later feminist movements and law enactments, including the Title IX enacted in 1972, which many former AAG PBL players publicly advocated for.
The men gave us a lot of static because they thought they were going to lose some money, that the women were going to get the scholarships and some of the money. So we had all kind of wars with the men's departments. This is true all over the universities at that time. And I think Title IX was, and things like our league here, being pioneers and all that, I think they were some of the best things that ever happened for women in sports.
The AAG PBL's breakthrough led to modern women's leagues like the WNBA and NWSL, and inspired international progress through events like the 1991 Women's World Cup in China.
No, we accomplished more than playing baseball. We showed that we were as equal as boys coming into sports, give the women's sports the same consideration and that you're giving the boys. And we did. Chapter 9 was passed for equal opportunity in sports. And I think we accomplished a great year. We're proud of what we did. We're very proud of it.
Women's rights have progressed significantly, with the government and society being increasingly held accountable for equal rights enforcement. However, challenges persist in the modern-day world. Women face unequal pay and limited media coverage, which tends to focus on female athletes' personal lives and physical appearance far more than their actual achievements and skills. The AAG PBL continues to inspire modern-day women to press on with the fight for equality. By overcoming the challenges placed upon them by society, the pioneering women in the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League broke through traditional gender barriers and laid the groundwork for future advancements in women's rights. It shifted society's perspective on rights and responsibilities and caused Americans to question many other social norms. Their legacy lives on through modern women's sports leagues and legislation, and their impact continues to inspire new generations of women in their fight for equal rights and opportunities in the workplace as well as the ball field.